You know what's really great? The fact that having a dollar in your pocket can make you a homeowner. But the real question is, do you really want to own one of these mansions, especially if it's only worth a dollar? There's only one way to find out, because me talking about mansions for pennies will probably make you think it's too good to be true. We're gonna have to put a pin on it, because that's what we'll be talking about in this video. The usual catch if a prestigious home is set in the market at such a low price. It can range from a spooky NYC party penthouse to an isolated country home to former celebrity properties. Let's understand why these houses became so controversial in ways you could never imagine. Now let's head on to a virtual tour that will have you thinking that maybe fairy tales do exist in these postcard-worthy places. The first mansion we have is located in Michigan along the windy shores of Lake Superior, the Grano Loma, which holds the title of the largest log cabin in the country. It has a massive land area of almost 2,600 square feet, together with a 23-bedroom estate that comes with 4 separate bungalow apartments. This fantastic cabin has a private marina, an outdoor hot tub, and a mind-blowing garden area. So with all of these inclusions, it isn't surprising that it was listed for sale for $40 million. Sadly, no one purchased it even after it was taken down half the price. I know you're probably wondering why elite buyers aren't bidding for the place, and that's because it's too outdated and ancient. Remodeling the whole area could cost the future owner millions. Another deal breaker is the fact that it's incredibly isolated, which means the nearest city is 200 miles away. It's also really chilly during winter, and it would cost a lot to heat the whole estate. So yeah, that's a no for us. Next, we move to New Jersey, where the historic Montclair House sits at 44 Pleasant Avenue, still unsold after years of being in the market. Now, you might wonder why it was rejected and ignored by buyers, despite its intricate and eye-catching design. Not to mention, it only takes the cost of 2 Big Macs to pay for this house. Yes, you heard me right. This entire house only costs $10. I know that makes you want to take out your wallet and pay for it, but hear this. It's cheap because it comes with a rather big catch. This 100-year-old Montclair house was built on commissioned land, which means if you do decide to buy it, you need to have the house physically relocated, and that would cost you a lot more than just $10. Not to mention, you have to get the proper permits to actually be allowed to move an entire house from one place to another, and you have to commission people and trucks to help you with this relocation while ensuring that no toxin exposure will leak through the walls while being moved. So yeah, definitely too good to be true, right? There you have it, folks. That's the big catch behind the $10 beautiful antique house. For our next estate, I'd like to ask you a question. Is living in a celebrity house your dream? Imagine walking in the halls where Brad Pitt, David Beckham, or the Queen of England once walked through. Wouldn't that be such a dream come true? I'm sure you, together with numerous buyers, would be more than willing to take the house out of the market right away. But what if I tell you that the following estate is 50 Cent's Connecticut mansion? This whole property was bought by the famous rapper in 2003 for $4.1 million, and now he's selling it for $18.5 million. But there was no response from any buyer. Now, what could possibly be wrong? Well, this mammoth-sized estate has 52 rooms, 23 of which are bedrooms. I know what you're thinking. This isn't a house, it's a palace, and you're not wrong. It has 2 ginormous swimming pools, indoor and outdoor, several game rooms, a recording studio, basketball rooms, and a nightclub. Now, if that kind of house does not intimidate you at all, well, I don't know what will. Its failure to sell has one reason: its size. I believe that even some of the biggest billionaires in the world don't need a palace with 52 rooms in it. Can you imagine the fortune you'll have to pay for electricity, heat, water, and cleaning services just to get this place up and running? Maintenance alone will drain your money in no time. After no one responded to the selling price, 50 Cent decided to give it an 84% discount, bringing the selling price to only $2.9 million. So maybe someone will be willing to purchase it this time. Would you? Next on our list will definitely get your attention because it's worth $100 million. This isn't just a house, it's actually more like an amusement park in Santa Barbara County, California. This Neverland Ranch has it all: a 50-seater theater where you can watch your favorite movies, a dance studio where you can dance your heart out, a fire station, a Disney-themed railway and train station, a swimming pool, and a tennis court. Altogether, this humongous property spans about 2,700 acres of land. But despite all the amenities, Realtors still end up lowering the selling price again and again because of one main reason. The estate is not yet sold because of the tainted legacy of its previous owner, none other than pop superstar Michael Jackson. It was rebranded a lot of times until it was set 3 times less than the original selling price. Sitting on the market at $31 million for 5 years, the estate was removed from the listing because it lacked any potential buyers. So despite its fairy tale outer appearance, the public decided to ignore it because of too much controversy. Let's head over to the East Coast with this next estate that recently belonged to Gianni Agnelli after he bought it from famous fashion designer Roy Halston Frowick. This luxurious apartment located in the Upper East Side of Manhattan was the party pad brought by Roy in the early 1970s. So that pretty much explains the whole party hub vibe of the apartment with its minimalistic and sleek interior and vast spaces. It has welcomed a lot of famous personalities in the 70s, but it's not really that famous now. It was put on the market in 2011 for $38 million, but it remained unsold until today, so its price was brought down to $24 million. However, even those who could afford this apartment remained skeptical because they didn't want to be included in the controversial and dramatic reputation that the apartment brings. Also, they probably prefer their stairs to have hand railings. Leaving Manhattan, let's skip across to the UK, approximately 25 miles outside of London, where the most expensive house on the planet, a massive mega mansion worth $138 million, is located. The house is so big that to visualize it, you have to connect Buckingham Palace and Hampton Court Palace together and imagine an estate more significant than that since it has a space of around 50,000 square feet. This mansion is definitely made for a king, especially with its 103 rooms, including 23 bedrooms with their own marbled bathrooms. You also get a personal home theater, wine cellar, sauna, gym, equestrian field, soccer pitch, bowling alley, tennis court, a panic room, and of course, 5 impressive swimming pools scattered all over the property. And oh, it also has a $6 million marble-heated driveway that's more expensive than most houses. So now I know what you're thinking. If this mansion is so unique, why is it still unsold? The answer is simple. No one can afford to buy this mansion. It's too expensive, and not to mention the regular upkeep and maintenance it requires. All in all, it's just too impractical to purchase. Moving along to this next property, a castle. Now we all have that dream of living in our own palace. So what if I tell you that you could live your dream because the Bannerman Castle in New York is up for sale? Although there's one tiny issue. There's just a little piece of it left ever since the castle was used to store artillery in the 1920s, which blew up, and then 50 years later, it suffered from a fire that destroyed the roof and the foundations. Now all that's left are crumbling walls that could fall into the ground at any time, and not to mention that the island where it stood is only accessible through a boat. Seeing that it no longer serves them much, the Bannermans decided to sell the remains of the castle and the land it stands on to the New York State, which, after the turnover of documents, decided to close the area to the public and sold the relics left in the decaying castle to the Smithsonian. Going back to Europe, we have been told that as long as you know where to look, you'll be able to find some affordable homes. Choosing the correct country can allow you to select the right estate for you for a really cheap price, like in Romania and Bulgaria. Or you could also check Poland and Hungary. Now, it's not unlikely that people would look into these countries, but what about in popular tourist spots like Italy? Maybe or maybe not, because people might think that Italia is just too pricey, but that's not exactly true. In come the small Italian town Ololai, where you could technically get a house for €1. That amounts to around $1.20. In Sardinia's mountain region of Barbaria, stone-built houses are literally being handed out to people who are willing to buy them. Now, why would these houses cost so cheap? Well, that's because these properties are in terrible condition, and for people to actually live on it, they have to renovate the whole thing, which can cost up to $25,000, and they have to sign an agreement that the buyer should finish in 3 years. This is their government's way to ensure that the community will be rejuvenated, or else Ololai will become a ghost town in the future. Well, if you're more than willing to buy a house that's worth $1, but you don't feel like flying a few miles, you can get the same bargain right here in the Golden City of San Francisco. The historic home number 54, also dubbed the Queen Anne, is widely known for its Victorian style. But with renovations in line, the local government plans to make it into a visitor center. Unfortunately, halfway through the renovations, the project fell through. The house was left undone and abandoned, just sitting in the East Bay area of Hercules, where people there are actually trying to sell it for 100 pennies. Anything that could take the house away from them. So yeah, it might be a chance for you to purchase a home that only costs less than your daily cup of coffee, but imagine the fortune it would cost to finish the renovations, and not to mention the amount of money you have to spend just to have it relocated. Another too good to be true deal, or should I say deals, are the houses up for grabs in Detroit. There you can purchase a home for only $1,000. Not just an apartment or remnants of houses, but existing vacant dwellings in the metropolitan area. This house in particular was auctioned off because of crappy foundations. The homes are barely livable since the electrical, wiring, and plumbing are shot, and of course the floors and walls need to be fixed. That's why the money you have saved for buying such a cheap house will be used along with a couple $1,000s more just to attain modernity and functionality to the places. Now, is that really worth it? If I ask you, would you really purchase some estate that is offered at a low price just so you could spend the rest of your money trying to make it as livable and comfortable as ever? So that ends our video. I hope you're able to get a glimpse of all these mind-blowing properties. Please tell me which one is your favorite in the comment section below. And don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. See you on our next video.